Well, y'all, it's been a while since I put a video out. Some of my regulars, I think there's 2 of you guys out there that probably watch every video that I release. And I appreciate y'all for doing that, or probably wondering where the heck I've been. I've done a few shorts in the last few months, but, you know, really I kind of, my interest in shooting videos kind of waned. I guess starting late last year, late 2022, YouTube changed the algorithm, and the little money I was making was cut by a quarter, probably. And that kind of disheartened me a little bit, you know, because it was a little bit of an ambition driver to have, you know, a couple $100 coming in every month or something like that. But anyway, you know, today it's, mid-September 2023, and I find myself with a little bit of time on my hands. You know, wifey's out of town, visiting her kin, and I've had this for a few months now, and I just thought I would show it to you guys. What in the world is that? You know, I'm going to jump in right off the bat and tell you, this is a Buckmaster. It's the Buck 184. Buckmaster 184 is what it's called. It's made by Buck Knives. The first question people always ask are, what the heck are these things for? Well, let me show you and tell you somewhat. We'll look at the sheath and stuff more in a little bit. These are grappling pins. Now, according to the patent that was issued on this, and I'll drop in a picture of the patent right here if I remember to, these are used to where you can tie a rope through this and then use this knife to successfully grapple with. Now, I'm no genius, but you're not going to, when I think grappling, I think taking like a 3-tine treble hook, tying a rope to it and throwing over a wall like a ninja or something like that, you know. I don't see myself throwing this knife in that fashion. And honestly, that's not quite the grappling. I know the patent says grappling, but an article that I read said that this knife was originally developed for the Navy SEALs. Okay, and we'll go a little bit more into the history in a minute. But these were put here so the SEALs could tie off a bag of gear or something underwater, tie it to this, wrap this around something, and these would help hold it in place. The best part about these pins is they're removable. Yeah, they do screw out, and then you just have a regular big honking knife. Don't lose these, y'all, if you have a Buckmaster, because these are original ones. They make reproductions nowadays for them, but these are hard to find originals, and they're pricey. But then you can just have a good old-fashioned big honking survival knife. So where did this knife come from? Any kid growing up like me, you know, a punk-ass teenager in the 80s, we know about the hollow-handle survival knives from, where did we first see a hollow-handle survival knife? Anybody? You got it. First Blood. Sylvester Stallone. I believe it was 1981 when First Blood came out. I saw First Blood at a movie theater in Topeka, Kansas with my uncle and my cousin, Robbie and Rodney. And like most of us kids at the time that were into knives and the woods and outdoors and stuff like that, you know, when we saw him taking this screw handle off, his knife, of course, was made by James Lyle, by Jimmy Lyle, the Arkansas knife maker. But when we first saw Sylvester Stallone taking off a screw-on pommel, he had a compass inside of it, which this one does, and I'm going to be showing more of this in detail when we do a short pass-through. Had a compass inside of it, and then you can keep some hollow handle goodies down in there. You can't really see it in here, but there is an area in here where they have the tang that comes through, and then it's nutted on, and then they actually fill it up with epoxy. Hollow handle survival knife was not a new concept. I don't know who originally came up with the idea, you know, but I will say that probably in the 1960s, I believe, is when Bo Randall at Randall Made Knives came out with their Model 18. And the Model 18 is a hollow handle survival knife constructed very similar to this. You know, they have the blade tang going through, then secured and epoxy filled. Now, the Randalls usually use a brass guard, and they'll use silver solder where the blade hooks up to the guard right here. And I have a Model 18 as well, which I will try to do a video on that at some point. Now, the original Model 18s used a crutch tip for the end of the handle, and then they finally made the handle a little bit thicker and used a threaded cap like that. But what happened is back in the early 80s, it was 1981 actually, there was a company called Qualitech. And this company was formed to come up with items for the Special Forces. And I say Special Forces loosely. I think they were kind of like that company, I can't remember it, USAACOM or something like that, that does a bunch of special equipment and gear for elite branches of the military. They were formed, and hollow handle knives were the craze at the time because, like I said, First Blood had just come out. And so everybody was thinking, man, hollow handle survival knife, that's the way to go. Survival knives with big, long blades with saw teeth on them, that was the way to go. You see this has got saw teeth and serrations on this back, the back of the blade. That it was just the way, it was the craze. And so they came up with this idea, and there is a lot of written history on the Buckmasters, on the Buckmaster 184s and the 185s, I believe, was the second model. You know how I know that? Well, number one, you can go online and you can see a lot of written history about these knives. There's a website called buck-184.com, but this knife also has this. Buckmaster Knives, Authorized History of the Models by Richard Nyman. And I'm wanting to say maybe, he signed this one. This is his signature right here. And then this is a picture of the people that were involved, I guess, in the development and stuff like that, Chuck Buck and whoever else and everything. But this is a large, thick book. I mean, we're talking over 300-something pages dedicated to nothing but the history of this knife, the different models they made over the years, the changes that were made, etc. I mean, it's got original patent numbers. It talks about in the boxes and the sheaths and things like that. Now, from that information, we can garner that my particular knife is this one, what they call a Variation 3, made from July of 85 until September 85. And you can tell that because of the printing on the blade. See, this is Buck 184 USA patent pending. There's no greater than or lesser than sign after the 184 right here. Made 13,008 of them, middle of July until September of 85, and this gives you some of the beef specs on it. And it'll tell you some of the details on it. Now, at first I was confused because another part of the book says they stopped putting the compass in the butt cap in, I think it was April or May of 85. But this call out does mention the compass. Compass is dime size, placed in a bed of seal concealment, shock protection, pommel is anti-magnetic. Now, it also came with the Silva Type 12 compass at the time, which unfortunately is not included with mine. And usually I believe it came with a large pouch right here too. And another tip off for this for the age is, one of the things to call it is the Buck patent pending on the sheath. This was before the patent number was issued. But they use this style of sheath from 85 to 87, apparently. But again, a lot of written history on the knife. I think that's pretty cool by the fact that they only made basically one Buckmaster 184, and then they made the 185, which is like a skeletonized light version. I think it's pretty cool that they have so much written history for it. Gosh, if you look at a company like Randall Made Knives, which I love Randall's, man, they've made, I know there's a limited number of catalog numbers, but with the options and stuff, there's hundreds of different styles of Randalls, and dating them over the years, yeah, it can be done. There's guys that really know their stuff on it and stuff, but it's hard to get all that information together in one written volume. Now, there are some good Randall books out there, but often you'll find one that kind of might be a mystery, even to some of the experts. But let's we'll zoom in and take some slow scans of this while I'm talking now. Buck, like I said, Qualitech designed this knife, and you can see this one. I don't think this one's ever been sharpened, to be honest with you. Beautiful edge on the hollow ground. what did they say for this steel? What, 45M steel or something like that? I can't remember what the specs were on it. I'll drop it in here. I'll look it up after this video and drop it in their type of steel. This is stainless steel, the type of steel is that they used in it. But I tell you what, you know, I turned 10 in the great year of 1980. And then, of course, you know, in 1990, guess how old I turned? Well, that means I was a teen in the mid-80s, and I was wood-loving, knife-loving, throwing star, ninja-loving, military-loving, outdoor kid in rural areas of Arkansas. So I was in hog heaven. And let me tell you, when this knife first came out, I think I first saw it in Soldier of Fortune, I believe, or maybe it was a Brigade Quartermaster's catalog. How many of y'all remember Brigade Quartermasters? Man, that was a cool outfit to order from. But this is the part that comes off, and we'll take a close look at this compass. Now, I think Chuck Buck Jr., which was the guy that helped bring this to light as far as Buck manufacturing for it, they acknowledge the compass pretty much doesn't work. I mean, sometimes you can get it positioned right and everything else. Like right now, it's actually showing that south is this way, north being that way. Unfortunately, it is, north is more, let me see how I'm facing here, this way. But I'm in a room with lots of interference and stuff like that, and it is a little bitty feller. That's why they started putting the Silwood 12s with it, because the compass didn't work. Now, a lot of people wonder if this part comes off. It does not. Well, you know what? I don't think it does. Yeah, you can. I guess you can work it out over the lanyard. Let's answer that mystery question right now. Does that part come off? I thought I checked it before, and it did not. We'll answer one of the world's greatest mysteries. I think it might come off if you were to get it over that O-ring. Unfortunately, I don't want to risk damaging my O-ring. So, yeah. Maybe it won't. I have a sneaking suspicion it won't carry over these threads. Anybody out there have a Buckmaster answer that question for me? Let me know if this piece, or this little curly piece, this little lanyard part comes off. And I had mentioned before that they have epoxy down there. Let me see if I can get my hands on a light real quick for y'all. And we'll hopefully edit that out. Trying to get this where y'all can see down in there. I'm going to have to see a sloppy part of my workbench here for a second, but see that? There's a bed of epoxy down there, which is not a bad idea. I mean, anybody who's ever tried to, you know, clean up epoxy off of something or break something that has a real good epoxy resin bond on it, you know, you can vouch firsthand for how strong that stuff is. But yeah, I know I'm rambling all over the place. You know, sorry. Been a long time since I've been on camera. But yeah, any kid in the 80s that was an outdoor kid like me, this knife was their dream knife. I know it was for me for a lot of years. But the price was like $129 to $169, somewhere in that range, which meant for me it was unobtainable, to put it simple. My first job when I was 16 was working for KFC, for Kentucky Fried Chicken, and I started at $3.15 an hour. And so it would have taken a lot of trays of fried chicken for me to be able to pay for something like this after taxes. But unobtainable. I actually didn't even have an opportunity to handle one of these in person until I was probably in my late 30s or early 40s. I was at a gun show, I believe, here in the Houston area, and happened to see one on the table, and the guy let me check it out in first person, you know, in hand. Now, I ended up trading for this again just a few months ago, and it's not a knife that I'm gonna that I'm, of course, I'm probably not going to use it. I might use it sometime. Hell, you never know. But it's one of those ones, you know, when you wanted for something for so long, almost coveted it for so long, you just got to have it when the opportunity arises. And I traded a Ruger 1022 for it, which, you know what, they're still making those. They're not making these anymore, guys. But, yeah, it's a very interesting knife. You know, I'm just going to touch a little bit in the history. It was originally developed for Special Forces, supposedly, but then I think it was formally, it's kind of debatable. Some people say it was formally adopted by some units of the SEALs. Some people say that it wasn't. Now, here's a picture I'll drop in right here that does show one being strapped to a SEAL in some sort of operation or training thing or something like that. But, you know, it's one of those things that's kind of lost to history. Who knows? Who knows if it was really used or not? Because honestly, everybody knows a lot of those elite units, those guys will pick their own knives. Granted, the U.S. Army might have something, or the Marines or the Navy, they might have something to issue them, but a lot of times when stuff really hits the fan and they're going out there, they'll usually pick their own stuff. That's what happened in World War II. You know, when so many soldiers were, you know, going off to war with Randalls, or, you know, just stag-handled hunting knives, generic stag-handled hunting knives and stuff like that. You know, a lot of people just wanted to, you know, they wanted their own knife. There was a lot of mom and dads, with dads in particular with kids going off to war, that would want their son to have, or their daughter, I guess in maybe latter years, but they would want their son to have the best. And so, you know, that's what they did. I know when my son was deployed to Iraq, yeah, I had the blacksmith shop going at the time when I knew it was getting close or going to happen at some point. And so I made him a really nice large fixed blade Razel type knife to take with him, and he took it with him. Now, I don't think he carried it, of course. I don't know if they let him in that particular instance he was in, but let's take a look at this sheath. Little buck pouch. Yeah, you know what? You guys could have done a little bit better on the embroidery, but hey. You can see it's kind of has like little metal fingers or something down in there that help hold the blade in place. Yeah, you can see that little band. And it's probably not a good idea, to be honest with you, to be sticking the knife in and out of the sheath so much, because that's what's causing this mark right here, is just going in and out. So I probably need to store it out of the sheath or stop taking it out and playing with it so often. But it has a single strap, you know, and it is a nice heavy, I tell you what, it's a nice double layer heavy nylon strap, retention strap. And this is kind of cool, the way they did this. Yeah, you know, you can unsnap it to put over a belt or a piece of gear or something like that, and then snap it back in place. That's pretty cool. That's pretty neat. Now, right here in the back, you can see the webbing is, it's riveted on, and this is where the pouch comes through. And this is another neat kind of cool feature on it. You can unsnap this, and look at there. They gave you a nice little carborundum stone built into it for field sharpening. And let me tell you what, y'all, anybody that's ever been out in the field, you know, like camping or hunting or something, whatever, and you end up dull your knife, hey, it's nice to have something handy like this. I personally carry one of the little knife sharp, work sharp, little square sharpener thing. A really cool little item. They gave it to me free at Academy when the Work Sharp was exhibiting there one day. I came in there and they were giving those little things away, and that probably needs a video on itself, you know, but so yeah, I just wanted to show you guys this beauty today. Say hi to everybody that I haven't seen for so long, or haven't, you know, posted comments for so long. Let me know what y'all think of this monster. I personally think it's, yeah, I mean, this is definitely a usable survival knife. Very heavy duty. Now, obviously, for a fighting knife, the saw blades, a lot of people kind of reject that idea, but, you know, that was the rage, you know, back then. This serrations on the back is a good idea. Imagine cutting some real heavy manila rope or something like that with it. The little pins, yeah, you know what? They look cool as hell, but yeah, I don't see these being on there in any practical application. The one complaint I have about this knife, especially if it's a heavy user and you got soft hands like me, you know, my hands, I sit behind a desk all day. They're not callous like they should be, or used to be, rather. The knurling on this is pretty rough. So like if you were chopping with this or something like that, you didn't have gloves on, even if you had tough hands, that thing might make sandpaper out of your hands within a matter of a short time period. But man, what a pleasure, really, to own one of these after wanting one for so many years. I mean, literally, gosh, from the time I first saw them in my early teens up until, gosh, 20s and 30s, even when I was at that gun show and saw one for the first time. Nowadays, you know, they bring different values, of course, based on condition. This particular one, you know, it's not mint condition. It's unused, but, you know, it has, like I said, it's got some rub marks from the blade, from the sheath right there. Personally, would I sell it? Well, of course I would. Yeah, if someone came along and offered me some good money for it, I personally value it probably around 700-ish, maybe something like that, you know. It is missing the compass, but it does have the original pins. It doesn't have the box, of course. That's 700 might be a little generous, maybe more like 550, 600 or something in that range. But, you know, it's one of those ones that I want to keep it. So when I have something that I want to keep, I always overvalue it. That way nobody else tries to trade it from me or anything. Y'all let me know what you think. I know I've rambled here for about, gosh, over 20 minutes. It's a long video, but it's my first video in a long time. So give me some forgiveness on that. Click that like button. And let me tell you what, a lot of my regulars that watch my videos, if you don't mind, make sure you're subscribed and share my channel. We're close to hitting the 4,000 subscriber mark. I'd like to get up to 5,000 subscribers at some point, just for the heck of it. So if you don't mind, share my channel with a bunch of your friends and stuff like that. Have a good day out there. Thanks for watching.